Hi, welcome back to this next Alt-C session. It's great to be here. My name is Emma Proctor-Legg and I'm the chair for this session. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Kirstie. This session is A Brave New World, an inclusive intercultural virtual Erasmus experience for student midwives. The session is 25 minutes in total, with approximate 20 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for questions. Please do use the chat to post questions and comments, and I'll now hand you over to Kirstie.
20 minutes for the presentation and 5 minutes for questions. Please do use the chat to post questions and comments, and I'll now hand you over to Kirstie.
Right, hi everyone. I've just got a bit of feedback from that one, so I'm just going to have a look for your screen. Okay, hello. I think I can hear myself after I'm speaking, so I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. So I'm going to talk to you today about a project that we've been working on called A Brave New World, an inclusive intercultural virtual Erasmus experience for student midwives. So to begin with, I have a Padlet site, and if you want to go onto this site now and use the QR code or use the link that's going to be in the chat, then please add any comments or feedback to think about how you might want to use the development model that's described in the presentation. So I'm going to talk to you about a project called TOTEMM. It's a 3-year project, and it loosely stands for Transforming Transnational Intercultural Sensitivity for Midwifery Students Through an Inclusive Mobility Model. So there's 4 partners, and it's led by the University of Nottingham. So that's ourselves there, and other partners are Milan Bicocca, the Midwifery Academy, Amsterdam, Groningen, and Tallinn Health College in Estonia, and it is actually funded by Erasmus. So here's the team, and there's a website there if you're interested in finding out a little bit more. We've got, as you can see, quite a lot of people. The principal investigator is Professor Helen Spiby, and this is the team from Nottingham who I've worked with particularly. So why are we doing this project? This project was actually written before the pandemic itself, and it responded to an issue within higher education, whereas all of our midwifery students were to have insight and understanding of global health practice and intercultural sensitivity. And at the time, the current mobility model was Erasmus, and then obviously perhaps following Brexit, it's going to be Turing, whatever that's going to mean. It was enabling students to go abroad and stay over in other countries and study there for a period of time. What the issue was, though, that these aren't actually inclusive for everybody. So not every student's in a financial or personal situation that means they can study abroad. Some of our students, for example, have families. They're not necessarily traditional learners, and that was the same for our partners in Europe as well. So the response was to develop a programme of a new mobility model that gave them a kind of online learning, a virtual learning experience combined with some physical experiences. So the idea initially was that they do 5 learning packages, which are listed there. These are the ones they came up with, but they would also have some time together physically, but not for a sort of longer period of time. So to design these learning resources, we used a methodology that is already used by the University of Nottingham's Healthy Learning and Media team, who I work for, and it's called Aspire. And basically it starts off with a broad learning aim, and then we have some storyboarding sessions, then a population of a specification, then it's implemented and released and evaluated. It's a kind of like a bit like ADDIE model, something like that. So we use that to develop these resources with our many partners. Initially, we had a face-to-face workshop for the storyboarding. So for each of those packages, this one, for example, was in December 19, just before we all got sent home, and it was to look at the introductory package, which was an icebreaker for students on the virtual mobility course to actually get to know each other a little bit. And there you can see an example of one of the storyboards that's been used. Then, of course, which probably is in every presentation you'll get at the moment, obviously we had we had COVID. So we're running this quite big Erasmus Plus project with various European partners, and it's based around us meeting, periodically to do workshops with students and staff in those countries to develop all of these resources. So we had to kind of adapt what we were doing, and I think as everybody else did, we took our stuff online. So we did transnational workshops using Teams, as everybody else has, and we used something called Mural for a sort of whiteboarding experience. And these meetings went quite well. So we had workshops that had some students from each of the institutions there as well, and we based every one of the other 4 learning packages. We had a workshop for each. So what we did then is we took those storyboards and we put them into a kind of a broad sort of specification so that they could be written up into learning packages. So as I mentioned before, this was the kind of adaptations for virtual, and it did mean we had to work slightly differently. We were lucky to have a very good project management within the project. It was very, very well organised anyway. We already had a team for the project before the pandemic as well. We weren't using it for meeting, but we were using it very much to keep very structured documentation, and had a bit of a methodology going where people really had to do what they said they were going to do. And if they were going to write something, they had to put it in the right folder and all that kind of thing. As well, the other thing that was different is normally when we do learning objects in my team and probably in other universities, you'd have your camera and media equipment, you'd have maybe studio space, you'd be able to do more of a professional job on some of the media. But because we had to get partners on the project, and anybody that they brought into the project who weren't necessarily in universities, there were all sorts of people, we had to get them to do their own media. So there was advice and guidance created and sent out that they could use kind of their own devices to get the best audio, to ensure they weren't kind of shaking the phone. Or I think we had one that somebody was holding the phone and breathing quite heavily, so we had to kind of really get that kind of nailed, and I think they did quite a good job. So again, moving forward, I think there's things that we could develop from there. And we used different instruments as well. So each of the packages, so there's 5 packages, and they were broken down roughly into subtopics. So each package was essentially a Moodle site with 5 Moodle lessons and some other activities. And then within the Moodle lesson, there'd be a mixture of things like video, audio, podcasts, a bit of reading, some websites, etc. And at the end of the whole package, there'd be some sort of product. So the group who are taking the package, what they're going to do is they're going to meet up sort of halfway through, or 1 or 2 key points of the package where they can actually meet virtually, talk to each other about a joint product, and then at the end they'll meet virtually and they'll present it to each other. So we've got some examples of they have to create a specification for a mobile app, or some sort of product for something like that. So just some of the things that we used. We've got quite a hefty tracking document that I developed because we were getting an awful lot of media coming in from each partner, and they were making media for each other as well. So each of these 4 headings here represents 4 of the packages, and 1 country each would head up 1 of the packages. So we basically shared this document so we could keep track of who sent us what, where the consent forms are gone, if we've done transcripts, subtitles, all that kind of stuff. And it's been absolutely invaluable. And we use templates and things for media, so we encourage them to write scripts if they wanted any sort of visual stuff, or if they wanted it to be a podcast, we could keep it on the script. But we use these kind of things, and they got used to it. And this is some of the media guidance as well that I sent through, and I sent through some other examples that have been made in our team.
We use these kind of things, and they got used to it. And this is some of the media guidance as well.
So just a few screenshots of some of the media. We wanted the packages to sort of support collaboration, because the idea of having an intercultural experience is you're supposed to meet people from the other countries as well and learn about their different aspects of health and midwifery. So we began the introductory package with a Padlet where they could go and add their names and things. and they're encouraged as well to go into do some forum activities. So they'd be asked at a certain point, you know, what, for example, can you give some facts about your country, midwifery in your country? Or we also included other things like food and stuff like that. So I have put a food thing on the Padlet if you want to go on and add what you're having for tea as well. And there's an awful lot of media on there. This, for example, is a case study about infant feeding in public, which obviously you're going to have different, perhaps, cultural attitudes to. And it gave me opportunity to sort of go through these and then go back to the virtual groups and discuss some of the things in their own countries with the other students as well. And there's a lot of media on there. We had some very interesting videos sent to us too. And on the introductory package, we wanted to use, I guess, badges. We used badges, but we wanted to have a passport stamp. So because the students couldn't travel in person, we created a kind of a journey, if you like, and kind of based it around a rail journey where they're stopping off at the different countries, learning packages. And then once they've done that, they can earn what we call a passport stamp for that particular country. And that worked quite well. I think it was a nice thing to do for that particular package and gave them a sort of sense of them moving through different topics.
And that worked quite well. I think it was a nice.
And just one or two other examples of the media. So, for example, this is one of our PG students, and we also had videos from, I mean, very topical, a midwife in Afghanistan sent a video over, and we had so many from different healthcare professionals and students and mothers as well about their experiences of being a migrant and being pregnant. So we had such a lot of rich media coming into the project that it was just being able to present it in a way with making sure we've got subtitles and transcripts and everything, so it's fully accessible. You know, we had mixtures of documents and things to read, so they looked at documents and policies in their different countries. And so we had sort of podcasts as well. Podcasts are easy; they're easier to create, and actually, you know, they're sometimes what's needed. You don't necessarily need a talking head, and it does create a lot less editing for the learning technologists. We did a little bit of survey. There was a big kind of more research type survey done on baseline data, and this was more about the wider project about their international physical activities and their factors that affect mobility. And there's going to be another survey at the end once the bulk of the students have done the packages, to obviously look at their answers around that. And we did a brief survey on the learning package that's existing, that we've piloted so far, just to find out their experiences and some improvements. So these were taken in, I think, summertime. We started making some improvements to the introductory package and the new packages so that we could respond to what those students said. So there wasn't very many students. You know, in general, they quite liked the experience of the package. We had a few navigation issues to start with because of some of the logic that was involved in the steps to get badges and hide things and find the next steps and things like that. So we addressed the navigation. And these are the points where the students were supposed to meet up and talk to each other. I think what we learned from this is that the students do actually need something quite structured to talk to. I think they enjoyed meeting each other, but for the introductory package, there wasn't such a concrete activity for them. Whereas for the other 4 packages, they're looking at, they've got things to actually produce. So they've got more of a structure around their meeting. And for this next pilot, we're also setting up teams for them all as well to be able to use.
Kirstie, can I interrupt you?
Yes.
We've got reports of feedback.
I've got feedback too, yeah.
Can you just double check that you don't have the stream open in any other windows on your computer?
I've got feedback too, yeah. Can you just double check that you don't have the stream open in any other windows on your computer?
I haven't, I've just got my microphone.
Okay, do you want to try unplugging your headset and see if that works?
I don't think it's going to make any difference, to be honest.
I haven't, I've just got my microphone. Okay, do you want to try unplugging your headset and see if that works? I don't think it's going to make any difference.
I'm still getting an echo. So you're now muted. Do you want to try plugging it back in again? You're still muted at the moment. If you can unmute yourself on StreamYard. So I think you're still muted at the moment, Kirstie. I don't know if you can hear me. If you can plug your headset back in.
I've got the headset plugged in.
I think we've now lost Kirstie for a moment. Hopefully we'll be able to get her back in a minute.
Hi, Kirstie. Hi, Kirstie. If you can hear me, at the bottom there should be an unmute and mute thing for you now. You're still muted within StreamYard, so you'll need to unmute yourself. I can't unmute you because you've muted yourself voluntarily. So you should have a okay.
So we can't hear you because you're currently muted. If you can unmute using the button in StreamYard. Hopefully we'll be able to resolve these technical problems. I don't think Kirstie can hear me either, so I'm not really sure what we're going to be able to do about this. I think we've lost Kirstie again. Sorry about the technical problems. Hopefully we'll be able to get her back in again. Kirstie, you're back on again now, but you're still muted. I don't think you can hear me, can you? So you need to unmute. You're muted, but on the software. Hopefully we'll be able to fix this very soon. It looks like we've lost Kirstie at this point. I'm not sure what the plan is now, so I'm just going to wait for further instructions.
Okay. Am I back in?
You're back in.
I'm really sorry. I don't know what was going on with that. I had some horrible sort of technical problems, but I was getting a lot of feedback too, so I don't know what was going on.
That's no problem, but I'm not getting any feedback at the moment. So
okay, so where do you get to? Do you want me to just summarise the end of the project?
Do you want to pop your slides back up? Have you got kind of a summary slide that you'd like to
have. I'm really sorry. I don't know what's happened there. It worked fine when I did all the tests and everything.
That's no problem.
It's typical,
these things happen when you work with technology.
I know. I think it must be jinxed with when I had the internet go down that time. Yeah. So essentially, to summarise, I don't know how much you got of that presentation. I do apologise, but the summary really was we conceived this project pre-pandemic to aid kind of virtual intercultural experiences between students. And what worked very well was some of the tools, instruments, and different ways of working that we'd brought in around the Aspire process. And I think these do give us lessons for the future in how we work, internationally, even reducing plane travel and all that kind of thing. We've had some really good media come in from lots of partners, so everyone's kind of up their skills, technology, apart from me, obviously. And they can send us, they know how to send me media, they know how to record properly, how to make the audio better. So what my message was, I think it's a step change in project delivery and maybe a different approach to student mobility going forward, and particularly with the green agenda, as well as the lingering sort of effects of COVID. So that's kind of where I got to, really. And I do apologise about that. What I could do is put the link to the TOTEMM project in.
We can get that put into the meeting chat for you.
Okay.
And followed up on Discord.
Yeah, I don't know what happened with all the echoing. I was hearing it as well, and I had to put my headphones down and just use the microphone. So yeah, it's not perfect. Is it?
What I would say is that I was able to hear most of it, so there was a little bit of an echo in the background, and it seems like a really interesting project. And I'm really sorry that you had those technical problems during
you could
presenting.
Yeah, sorry about that. You could probably see the slides anyway. I think we've got 80 students joining in October, so we're setting up for those as well. But I think the most interesting thing I found from a learning technology point of view is actually the breadth and the interesting materials that have come through from real authentic voices. We've got somebody in a war zone, an Italian midwife, who could give her experiences of midwifery, how you set up a field hospital in a war zone. I mean, these are things that, as technology becomes more accessible to people, we should be reaching out and getting more authentic voices into the curriculum.
Yeah, so it's brilliant. You're bringing in things that you wouldn't have been able to do before. And obviously it was a super timely project in that you'd started it before the current situation. But, it probably built momentum as we all moved online. But it seems like a really, really, really interesting project. I think we're just about out of time.
Okay.
I'm just going to double check. I don't think there are any questions in the comment section. So I'm just going to say thank you so much for presenting.
Okay, yeah, thank you. And I don't know, I'm sorry about the technical things, but ho-hum, isn't it? These things happen. All right, thank you. Have a nice day.
Angie, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.